Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the main event podcast. You here with me, Aaron, and
Nathan,
hello, Nathan. How are you?
I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, I'm good. What did you think of this game week? If there's ever a 2020 game week, this was it, wasn't it?
The best way of summing up 2020 when your Champions Fantasy League is just gone in a week.
I know it was awful. I was expecting game week 6 to be bad, but two game weeks in a row for me is what I'm expecting now. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try and chase it in the knockout stages, but we'll go through our teams first and then go through our ranks. So I'll go through my team first. My team finished on a grand total of 28 points. So that was incredible. I only had 6 players play in the end, and none of them were my captain. I had Ronaldo, Mbappe, Jota, Hateboer, Vent, and Galaxy, and Angelino in the end. And Coleman was my captain on the first day. Haaland was my captain on the second. I didn't know he was injured, so that sucks. And yeah, my rank has took a massive hit in the overall standings. I've went from I think I was like 7,000 and now I'm 15, which it is what it is. 219th in England and I'm 94th in the Atalanta Fan League. What about you, Nathan?
By some miracle, I got 40 points.
Amazing.
Now I've done the same as you. I had Coleman captain the first night and then Haaland captain the second night, so that ruined us. My highest points, like player that brought us in the most points, was actually De Ketelaere. I stuck with him. He hasn't played I haven't put him in my team for a few weeks, but I kept him on my bench, and then I brought him in for Kyle Walker off the bench, and he got us 11 points. Me ranks for this week, I went nicely down to 29,000 overall, and I'm 408th in England.
Just going through the other guys' team. I don't have their ranks, but Dan finished on 43 points. He captained Angelino, but he captained Hatabo on the first day. It's only a 2 point loss. But overall, he had only 2 players not playing. So he managed to field a pretty good team. I was quite surprised that he had took De Ketelaere out of his team.
That was because he hyped him up so much. Like in the first couple of weeks, it was like the Ketelaere.
Yeah, I think it's just one of the things where you kind of psych yourself out. You kind of overthink things. Plus, I think the transfers that he made in midfield made sense. Like Casemiro, Gundogan, and Vormer, they make sense. He didn't need 2 Bruges players, so we'll get his thoughts on that next time. Cameron, who had his limitless, he finished on 53, and he also didn't have a captain in the end, so that could have been a lot better. But one of his master strokes was having Morata and Romero. He also had Mendy on the bench and played Ter Stegen, who got 0 points. So it was a pretty crazy game week, but all we can do is look forward. Glad that game week is behind us, and we now have the risk of rotation in this upcoming game week. So exciting things to come, Nathan.
Yep, definitely.
Okay, so let's talk about some of these games. First off, I think there's only one place we can really start is kind of talk about the groups that still have a lot to play for. And one of the biggest results of this game week was Manchester United 1, Paris Saint-Germain 3. What were your first initial thoughts watching? Did you watch this game actually?
I was in and out of watching the game, but I'd actually put a bet on as well, and I had Man United to win because I just thought PSG normally struggle against Man United. Rashford's normally on form against PSG,
Yeah.
so it kind of shocked us when PSG. Well, I think PSG taking the early lead, and Man United's defending once again.
Yeah. A couple of the players' heads went, I think. Like Fred he's the main example. He's going to get the most fingers pointed at him.
Well, he should have been sent off no matter what because you can't push your head like that. I don't get why VAR and the referee have both said it's a yellow card. He pushes his head towards him.
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of confused as well when I saw it, So I guess justice was made in the end because that yellow card I didn't think was a yellow card, that second
I was
one.
going to say exactly the same as you. I don't think it was a yellow card, and I think the referee knew at half time I've made a mistake. The next thing he does that looks a little bit dangerous, I'll just send him off.
Yeah, I think that the thing is as well though, like the ref on the field is allowed to make a mistake. It's just
Exactly.
when VAR then intervene and then you're kind of like, well, I've made a mistake twice now.
Mm.
So like that's the confusing thing about it. And I know Manchester United normally get the rub of the green when it comes to VAR. A couple of Man U fans might be mad right now, but most likely they do end up getting the better of these decisions. And so when I saw Fred get away with it, I was kind of like, is it this again? You were right about Rashford. He's normally the player who performs the best against Paris Saint-Germain, but I think Martial might have been a bit afraid to upset his fellow French
Yeah.
compatriots. I can't believe some of the misses that he had.
I think Solskjaer's setup was just wrong in general. Like I'm looking at the lineup now, and you're playing McTominay and Fred again when you've got Van der Beek, Pogba, and like players like that on the bench.
Yeah, Pogba, I don't know what to think of him right now because he had that moment, like he had that close chance, didn't he, where that half
Mm-hmm.
volley, but I don't know why because he plays in that like the back two in front of the defense for the French national team.
Exactly. So play him there for Man United. If he plays there for his national team and does well at it, you'd
And
think,
like
oh well, you can go alongside maybe Fred. Him and Fred would probably be a good partnership. Or Van der Beek.
I think the thing is though, regardless of who they're put with, is that they're inconsistent. They're not
Mm.
going to play that like with the French national team. You know, it's the same. You could probably name the front that midfield three without thinking too much about it. You know that he's going to partner Kante in that too.
Mm.
And like they have had the chance, and it's probably like if you think about it over the last 2 years, the amount of time that Pogba's been at Man U, he's probably partnered Kante more than he's partnered any of the other Man U midfielders because they just change all the time. And I know injuries and stuff plays a part of it as well, but like it's hard to be good in a team when it's changing all the time.
That's true.
And so that's my view is that it just needs to play the same starting 11. And it's normally like if you look at the national team example, the national teams that play a system rather than a group of players, they do better. So like
Yeah.
Portugal winning the last Euros, they play a certain system. If you match them up against France, that in that final, France should have been the comfortable winners.
Yeah.
But Portugal had their system. Everybody knew their role, how to play, and because of that, they ended up getting that result in the final. And so the quality of the players can only get you so far when it gets to the elite level, which the Champions League is. And I think that it's the people who least tinker with their teams are the ones who do better because they have a system in place,
Mm.
especially when there's no fans and you can't build off that vibe of the stadium. But that's just like my thoughts on it. I could be wrong. People can correct me. But that's just from what I've seen, like amongst Champions League teams, like even Man City last year against Lyon, they should have walked that game, but because they changed all their personnel,
Leon had a system that broke them down. That was it.
I think Pogba is one of the reasons he doesn't succeed in Manchester United is because he doesn't have a clear partnership and he doesn't have the same starting 11 week in, week out. And it's quite
Mm.
hard with a team like Manchester United because you have so much quality. But if you think about back when Manchester United were good, Sir Alex Ferguson era and stuff like that, it was a pretty consistent starting 11, and then you would get the subs off. You could probably name like the 08-09 team because you know who their starting 11 was all the time.
Yeah.
And so that's just my view on it. But again, could be wrong. Manchester United are an up and down team anyways at the best of times. But
What did you think of PSG then? Because I thought they looked quite sound.
yeah, it's nice for them to actually put in a good performance. They're leaving it
Yeah.
quite late, but they have Istanbul in the last game, which works out really well for them. Neymar getting 2 goals. People are now throwing around the world class quotes with Neymar, and like, yes, he on his day he is brilliant. He's one of the best players in the world on any given game week. Yeah, and that's the thing.
For me, he's too inconsistent to be banded as a world class. You're looking like Messi, Ronaldo, them like the likes that he's linked up with, and it's like they're world class, but he isn't because he doesn't do that performance week in, week out. He's playing in France and he'll score a goal. Well done.
With Neymar, it's one of them things where I feel like because of the way that he left Barcelona, he's always going to have that question mark over him regardless. And until he wins the Champions League, I feel like that's just going to mar his career. Like when we look back at it, I think that isn't going to be one of them things where we go, he would have been great, but he moved to France. Kind of like the way that we think about David Beckham. He was absolutely great, but he moved to MLS. I think that's the way that we're going to look at Neymar's career when we look back. If he doesn't win a big trophy like the Champions League with PSG, because obviously he's already won it. That was with Messi. And I think it's going to be one of the things where if he doesn't win it with PSG or he doesn't win the World Cup, I think that's good. They're going to look back at his career and go, he just went for the money. And
well, he's already turned around in an interview after the game and said within the next year I want to be playing with Messi.
Yeah, I think that's him trying to speak to the higher ups. I think he was quite shocked that Paris Saint-Germain weren't making as big of an effort for Messi as Manchester City were. Paris Saint-Germain can play quite smart in the next few years because Juventus are looking to offload Ronaldo potentially. And Ronaldo's came out in an interview because of this rumor and said that my contract is until 2022. I'm not going anywhere. I cannot retire happily until I've won a Champions League with Juventus. But it's quite rare that you have to get Ronaldo to kind of plead to stay. Like, I think it's all, but then again, Italian football's mental. So, but either way, Paris Saint-Germain is one of the teams that are heavily linked with Ronaldo. So Paris Saint-Germain, I'm not saying they'll get both, they can't afford that. But Mbappe is heavily linked with a move away. They could replace Mbappe with either Messi or Ronaldo. And I think they're kind of playing the cards close to the chest on which one they're going to go for. But it's crazy that that's a possibility. And it would be incredible if they could get Neymar, Messi, and Ronaldo as a front three.
That would just be formidable as a front three. You'd just have to think, if you're going to plan against it, just score more goals.
I don't think it'll happen, but dreams can be made. Marquinhos also getting a goal, which proves that he, as a premium defender, he's done all right. We kind of got a bit scared about him when he didn't play in match day 1. But since then, he's gotten returns of 8 points, 4 points, 10, and then 9. And I think 5.6 for him now because he's had a price rise. Looks like he's a good buy because of his playing out of position. But that's it on the Paris Saint-Germain side, really. No other performances to really shout about, in my opinion. What about yours?
No, Mbappe played well. His link up for Neymar's goal was very good, like that 1-2, and then Neymar just reacting to get that goal. But apart from that, I couldn't say anyone really stood out. I just think as a team performance, they just nullified Man United.
And it's important that they did do that. Like in the preview show, I was saying that Paris Saint-Germain, like I believe that they will qualify, and I said that in the last show. And I think with a performance like this, if they don't take Istanbul lightly, I think their players are a good pick for game week 6. But do that at your peril, knowing that you'll probably have to transfer them back out after that. But moving on to Istanbul and Leipzig, what a game this was.
Crazy.
I had Angelino and Galaxy in my team, thinking that this would be an easy game. I saw that Leipzig had gotten the lead, and so I was quite confident. I was happy. I was like, yes, I'm turning my game around. And then I just see just absolute madness. Karvecki, he scored a hat-trick with all goals coming from outside the box. So that was a crazy stat. He came out...
If someone's got him in their team...
it says he's selected by 0%. So I don't think he...
That's all right.
But he came out with 20 points, which is crazy because obviously the 3 goals from outside the box, that's an extra point every goal that he scored. And he almost got a ball recovery point as well, but it got taken away from him during the review of the match. So that's disappointing as well. So he could have came out as the highest point scorer, but he's tied in the end with Giroud. So Leipzig had to rescue it in the last minute with Sorloth. But what did you think of the game other than the crazy scoreline?
Leipzig just seem to be making it hard for themselves. I think that's the best way of putting it. Like we've talked previously about like the defense is quite a good defense, but it just seems this whole Champions League, like since it started this season, the defense hasn't been as good as it's been made out to be. I mean, it got turned over by Man United, and then you've got take the Istanbul game there. You go 2-0 up, then it's 2-1, you go 3-1, and then it goes back to 3-3. And it just seemed to me like they thought it maybe a 2-0 or 3-1, game over. We've got a 2-0 advantage.
Looking at Istanbul's team though, you wouldn't doubt them. Like you wouldn't doubt that result if you were playing to your best. But again, it's one of them things where if you try and take your foot off the gas when you're at the top level, that any of these teams can punish you because these are teams that are the top of their countries. And I think that sometimes we look at the strength of the league, like with Bruges and countries like this where they are consistently the champions. We kind of look at them because we're not as familiar with the league or we're not as familiar with their players that we kind of downplay it. But all of these players, like the majority of these players are internationals, and like they're still good quality players. And Istanbul's a hard place to go. Like Manchester United proved that. I think with this group, it's one of them things.
PSG proved that until they scored.
I think that with this group, it's kind of a race to see who can finish in the Europa League. It's like none of them want to progress. They're all making it hard for themselves, especially with like Manchester United. All they needed was a point, and they would have guaranteed qualification. And now they might end up finishing third, which is just crazy. All these 3 teams facing each other, and Istanbul just being a thorn in the side of all of these teams. All of them have struggled away in Turkey. So
who do you think is going to make it through that?
I'm going to stick with my decision from the predictions. I said that Paris would finish top and Leipzig second, I think I said.
I agree with you. I think Man United being away to Leipzig, it'll be a struggle.
But Fernandez plays better when he's away.
Yeah, I think that's going to be where it lets it down. True.
I think he's scored or assisted in the last 5 or 6 away games.
I think it all depends on rotation, really, as well, because like we talked about before, you've got a lot of fixtures in there, and he could play this weekend, and then next week, Fernandez might be on the bench.
I think if Solskjaer benches Fernandez in this game, I think you deserve to go. I don't think he will be benched. I think he'll play his strongest team. I think he'll eat. Like the thing is, Manchester United have got themselves into a position where they are going to have to play their best team all the time because of where they are in the league. And if they get Europa League, I can't see Solskjaer staying, to be honest. And we've tried to be patient with them, but after the Istanbul game, we were kind of asking questions. And now, especially that they're asking questions, there's now rumors going out that some of the players that has been signed over the last few transfer windows weren't actually Solskjaer's picks. And I remember hearing that about Mourinho as well, where like Mourinho wanted Boateng and they ended up signing other people.
I was going to say, didn't Mourinho actually come out and say, I work with what the club gives me? And it was like a hint of like, the club have signed these players. I didn't want these. I didn't want Pogba. I didn't want this. I wanted such and such. And like I said, Boateng. I think Cavani was on there, but it was when Cavani was actually hitting goals for fun, really.
Yeah, going back to that game, speaking of Cavani, he was so unlucky with that chip. That would have been a beautiful goal. But yeah, I think that this group are players that we should be looking to target and bringing people in, because I think all of these teams have to play their strongest team. And if any of them do rotate, I think they deserve to go out, in my opinion, especially if the result does go against them. Because if they rotate and win, they're going to be like, oh, the manager's a genius. If they rotate and lose, I think they deserve to go in the Europa League because you didn't play your best team. But moving on to another group that matters a lot, Group B, where it's all to play for. I think we need to go for the shock result. Shakhtar winning 2-0 against Real Madrid. What are your thoughts on this?
Real Madrid, not having. To me, it just doesn't seem like they're having a good season. But again, the defense was changed. You look at the defense this time; it's Fernandez and Rafael Varane, and they dropped out Militao, who's normally there. But I just don't know. Like Shakhtar just went for them again. Shakhtar know how to play against Madrid. They've done it last time at Madrid. I mean, they didn't beat them, but they're just playing it. They're playing it well. No, they lost 4. Yeah, they won 3-2 in October. So, and that was at Madrid. They must just know if we attack them. Madrid just seems scared when they get attacked.
And I thought it was a weird decision that Casemiro wasn't playing because you need that sort of protection in front of your back four, especially if you are playing a makeshift back four. Like you've got Lucas Vasquez in right back when Nacho could play there. I know that Sergio Ramos is injured, but I just think I don't think that's excusable for Varane's mistakes that he keeps making.
No, I think if anyone was going to be dropped, I think it should be Varane that's being dropped and playing Militao because Varane's making mistake after mistake.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like that thing where it's like that allegiance where Zidane doesn't want to drop the players that have performed well for him in the past. But I think, well, Real Madrid have now only won 1 game in the past 5. So they're on a bad streak right now. I mean, they did have chances. Asensio looked lively.
Yeah.
Benzema back, which is a positive sign. But it's just crazy that they look this bad and that they are at real risk of not qualifying. And Zidane said he's not going to walk away. I mean, why would you? Because you know you're getting a big pay package coming if you get fired.
Exactly. If Real Madrid let him go, he gets the money. He's not stupid that way. But if I saw a stat, I think it was yesterday or the day before, Zidane this season has the same amount of wins as Steve Bruce.
That's rough.
That's rough on Steve Bruce. That. But yeah, like Real just don't look. It doesn't look like the Real. And then they're talking about. I seen on Sky the other day they were talking about this result, and the rumors out in Madrid are the rebuild is in the summer.
Yeah, I heard Mbappe is the biggest target.
Yeah, they just brought back Odegaard, didn't they?
Which is, I just think with Real Madrid's standard though, other teams have rebuilt in the past, but still been able to perform well. And mind you, this is the first time that Zidane has been in charge of a rebuild.
Yeah, true, because the last time he was in charge, he had
Ronaldo, you didn't have to rebuild that team. And it's just crazy that this is the exact same team, really, that there's hardly any changes. You've got the odd little transfer here and there, but the majority of the team is the same. And so this is the first time that Zidane is in charge of a rebuild, and it's whether Real Madrid are going to be patient enough with him because of what he's done with them in the past and obviously what he did with them last season. Because obviously winning the league was huge. Yeah, at least they're doing better in the league than Barcelona are, but that's not hard these days.
Real's midfield, I agree with you there. They did really miss Casemiro because we look at their midfield. They had Odegaard, Kroos, and Modric. You've got 2 very attacking players, and then you're hoping Kroos can hold the midfield, basically.
But even then, I wouldn't describe Kroos as a defensive midfielder.
No, I wouldn't either.
You need that protection, especially with the way that Varane's performing.
It just drops it into a back 5 if Casemiro plays. He can drop in. It makes it into a back 5, or if your wing backs go on, it makes it a back 3. It's still solid.
On the Shakhtar side of it, you had Dentinho come on as a substitute and score. Was again a mistake from Varane. Manor Solomon scored in the 82nd minute. I just was surprised at the clean sheet for Shakhtar. And
same.
Yeah, we'll talk about the other game and then we'll see how this group is going to line up moving in. Because the other game was also very tasty. Mönchengladbach versus Inter Milan. finished 3-2 to Inter. What did you see about this game?
I just thought it was a really entertaining game. Like, I watched bits of it back, and I think
Yeah,
Mönchengladbach were lucky.
almost a hat trick.
Almost again. He's got to get snapped up by some big club at some point. Like, I know he's at Mönchengladbach and playing Champions League football and that, but the goals he's scoring and the rate he's scoring them at, there's got to be a big team out there looking and thinking, we could have him.
It just depends on whether that team is willing to give him the consistent minutes. Because if you think about all the big teams around Europe, like, yeah, they've all got a striker who they're kind of loyal to. Like, Cavani is struggling right now to get into that team, which is just crazy. Because I think he's a better finisher than Martial. And so
I would agree with that.
Like, Cavani's world class at that. But you get other big teams. I mean, you've got potentially Man City coming up. They'll need a striker, but play probably doesn't fit into their way of playing.
No, I wouldn't say player would fit in.
Yeah, I don't know what other big teams you would think about needing a striker. Maybe Dortmund if Haaland left, but I don't see that happening.
True. I mean, Haaland could go to Man City. That could always be the show that happens.
But then again, I don't think we're the right podcast to go through all these transfer rumors.
No.
But yeah, I agree that player should be in the Champions League. He should be in the Champions League team, and he's playing like a Champions League striker, and he's performing well with 2 goals. So again, well done to the people that had him in their team. Another striker that performed well in this game, Lukaku. I was a bit tentative about him coming into the game. Like, I was warning people that he hadn't been starting and playing, but I did think that he would come on. However, I didn't see this kind of performance from Lukaku. It just shows how explosive that he can be. He's just an absolute beast. I think something that is crazy as well is that Hakimi doesn't seem to be the go-to right wing back anymore.
It's Darmian on one side, Young on the other.
I think that's just madness. I mean, Young's a better wing back than Perisic.
Yeah.
Darmian, I think that's quite a surprise, obviously, from seeing him play for Manchester United or not seeing him play for Manchester United because he's on the bench a lot. But Hakimi, apparently from kind of the analysis around Italy, they think that Hakimi is the reason that Inter weren't doing good. And apparently Conte has put the blame on Hakimi for being caught out of position.
Wow.
So we'll have to monitor that moving forward. I mean, he did come on as a sub.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was left out the game, but Hakimi might be a big risk at 6 million moving forward. Yeah, some good player picks. And again, with this group, all of these teams have to play their strongest team. It's an exciting last game week for this group.
Definitely.
So I think it's nice that one group is going to be solved on the other day, one day, and the other one's going to be solved on the next. Like, it's not all being played on the same day, which is quite nice. How do you see this group finishing? Because every team has a chance. Yeah, every team has a chance of finishing top. It would just take a massive scoreline for Inter to beat Mönchengladbach. But what are your thoughts?
Who's playing who? Is it Real Madrid, Mönchengladbach?
Yeah, so it's Real Madrid at home.
Right. I still think Mönchengladbach will win. So I would say Mönchengladbach go through. And I think Shakhtar are going to go through.
So you think they'll draw with Inter or beat Inter?
I would say it'll be a draw. Inter will go out and Real are going into the Europa League.
So Mönchengladbach, according to your predictions, will finish on 11 points. Shakhtar finish 8.
Mm-hmm.
And then Real Madrid will have 7 and Inter Milan will have 6.
Yeah.
Showing how close that this group was.
It's crazy. It's crazy that I've just put Real Madrid in the Europa League.
I know. And the thing is, though, that you could be totally wrong.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be crazy. Like, it's not like you've made totally wrong prediction. It's just how crazy this group is.
If we had said that when this group had been drawn, people would have thought you are mental.
Yeah. I think when I did that prediction, I think I put Inter in the Europa League. I think I had Real Madrid and Mönchengladbach going through. I'll have to listen back, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I definitely see Mönchengladbach going through, and it's just crazy that they were the 4th seed. Real Madrid have to. I just think it's crazy that if Real Madrid win and Inter win, depending on the scoreline, Real Madrid and Inter could qualify.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy because Shakhtar have a -7 goal difference. But I think it's on head-to-head because Shakhtar have beaten Real Madrid twice and they're above them in the group. So I think it's all to play for and it's very, very exciting. So
It's crazy looking at the stats here. So if, like, from where I can look at it, you can get the total points, so you can get the points from home and the points away. And across the board, Mönchengladbach are top the whole time. The only thing that changes is on the away, Inter Milan go into second place. Away, they've got 4 points from their 3 games.
That's crazy.
So they go from bottom to second. So if they play away, they might actually get through.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Let's go on to some of the other groups and some of the other games. So Group A, Loco Moscow 1, Salzburg 3. Salzburg, I think we did all predict that Salzburg were going to win that game, but I didn't expect it to be as entertaining as it was. I was going to bring in Moranchuk. I saw he was benched because that was the early game and chickened out of it. He then came on to score a penalty. I don't know why I doubted myself, to be honest. I mean, I stuck with Pulisic and then didn't stick with Moranchuk, who is very consistent. That's on me, though. What did you think of this game?
I saw highlights of it. It did look like it was end to end. But I thought as well, like I had Salzburg down to win. I did debate putting Berisha in when I was debating who I'm going to put in instead of Moise Keane. And I ended up keeping Moise Keane.
It's just unlucky, isn't it? Yeah. With this game as well, it ties the group up really nicely going into game week 6. Not from first, because Bayern Munich have absolutely just walked away with it.
Yeah, that bit's done.
Atletico Madrid are second with 6 points. Salzburg are third now. They've leapfrogged Loco Moscow. They're on 4 points, and Loco Moscow are on 3. So you know that Bayern Munich are not going to play a full strength team because they've just proven that against.
I was going to say we see that against Atletico. It was quite a young team with a couple of bits of experience around it, really.
Yeah, exactly. And so it is away in Germany.
Okay.
So that's not ideal, but Loco Moscow will probably rest a lot of their players this weekend in order to play a full strength team. Mind you, at Bayern Munich, their weakened team is still unbelievable. Like Thomas Muller, Sane, like I would love that team. Yeah. So I think the biggest crunch match goes to Atletico Madrid versus Salzburg. Knowing that them two teams have to have to play a full strength team. If you have a limitless coming into this week, this is exactly the time to use it because you can just focus on Group B matches, I forgot what letter they're in.
Group A matches for this one.
Group H with Paris Saint-Germain, Man U. Just get buying all these fixtures where it's still a play for, knowing that these teams have to play a full strength team. Yeah, it's very exciting and kind of seeing that we've already touched on it. Bayern Munich 1, Atletico Madrid 1, João Felix scoring again.
Yep.
I mean, he's a good pick for 9 million.
Would have been better than Haaland for me.
A lot. I mean, it was just unfortunate that we didn't know Haaland was injured, but João Felix being unbelievable, proving his price tag, and like showing that the quality that he has. It's just a shame that Atletico Madrid again didn't seize this opportunity, kind of what they've been doing all group stage, that they didn't seize the opportunities and couldn't beat a Bayern Munich team that was not their full strength. Because I know you wouldn't expect Atletico Madrid to beat Bayern Munich anyways, like if both teams are playing full strength. But Atletico Madrid are, in my opinion, a better team than that. And it's kind of just disappointing. You don't know whether it's down to the mentality or the tiredness. Yeah, I just don't know what to attribute it to.
I just think it's crazy seeing Choupo-Moting up front alongside Douglas Costa and Leroy Sané.
Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. And other than that, there's not really much to play for Bayern Munich. I think one of the things that we've learned from this group is that your Bayern Munich assets are pretty much useless for this next game week.
I think I'll be taking out Coleman for like next game week.
My only hesitation about taking out Coleman, well, one, it depends on the rest of my team. But two, I've got to buy him back in.
Yeah, that's my worry.
I'd rather just bench him for game week 6.
Yeah.
And then I don't have to buy him back when he might get another price rise. So, because he's 8.5 now. And exactly. People just keep getting him. And yeah, it's one of them things where you just don't know. But Bayern Munich's team is so good, it's kind of like, do you want to get rid of them and save yourself the headache of trying to guess which wingers are going to play? So it's one of them where you kind of don't know which way to turn with that. Moving on to Group D, which also has a lot to play for. Liverpool securing their round of 16 place with a win against Ajax. I know I said a few weeks ago to get Curtis Jones in your team, but I wasn't expecting him to have that good a performance because he could have scored a lot more. I think he could have had a hat-trick because there was that first opportunity when Jota laid it off to him.
Yeah.
There was the second opportunity where he hit off the post. And then the third one was his goal, which was taken amazing. Brilliant. Like, that was such a good finish. I don't know what Onana was doing.
No, I was really... The goalkeeping worried us there.
And a lot of people had Onana in their team as well. So
I had him in and I benched him and I put in Jose Sarr, so let's not talk about it. But to be fair, Curtis Jones, he does look like he's going to be a good player for Liverpool. Like he's coming on quite a bit.
He seems to be like really reliable and trusted because this is a match of importance. And I wanted to highlight him again for game week 6. I mean, game week 6 away to Midtjylland, which isn't actually away to Midtjylland.
It's in Dortmund.
Yeah, but Curtis Jones is going to be a player that I think is going to play in that game. And for 5.4, he seems to be a player that you could again get in. I don't know about Nico Williams, though, being a midfielder. I think that's criminal because he missed out on a clean sheet bonus.
Yeah. See, how many of them players do you actually think Liverpool are going to drop for the next game? Because that's my thoughts when you look at it. Like Robertson might, because they're all, like you said, they're all qualified now. So you've got to be looking at, like, with the injuries they've had, Robertson probably getting dropped, Mane not playing, Salah not playing.
Yeah, I think the front three will be Origi, Shaqiri, and Minamino.
Yeah. I think someone will come in possibly for Robertson as well.
Yeah, I don't think they'll play near full strength.
I think it'll be Simiskas. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, and Naby Keita is close to coming back. I think he'll play. I mean, they have got a lot of injuries, but this is an opportunity for them to rest a few players.
Yeah.
And I know on the last episode, Dan and I were talking about how Klopp's one of them managers where you'll just keep playing his best team. But I think if you handed Klopp an opportunity to rest his front three,
this is the time.
He would take it right now. And if he doesn't, he's got no grounds to complain.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. Like, obviously, he's came out and complained quite a bit, and we've had the chats about it. But if he does play his front three and one of them gets an injury out of that, get on with it because you made that decision. No one else did. It wasn't the fixtures. It wasn't BT. It wasn't Sky. It was you.
Yeah, and so I think that them three up front, I think could be good budget options. If you're looking to like make a transfer, get rid of Haaland or whatever. Origi, Minamino. Origi 7.2 right now. Firmino could play in this game. I could see that happening. 8.8 for him. He had a good opportunity, but a good save by Onana. 6.9 for Minamino. Shaqiri, class as a midfielder. And he is, well, it shows that he's injured. I don't know what his injury was, to be fair. Who knows?
Yeah, he wasn't on the bench either. I thought Kelleher had a good game.
Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to him after that. Good Irish prospect coming out.
The next Shea Given.
or could be England's starting goalkeeper at this rate. International transfer.
Exactly.
I mean, it is amazing seeing such young Irish players playing well for England. Declan Rice, Jack Grealish doing really, really well for the England national team. No, that's just me being bitter. Overall, Liverpool, great again. Jordan Henderson. I was thinking about this the other day. We're like, oh, Jordan Henderson, he's so so influential. He's so vocal. I think Jordan Henderson is going to go and be a really good manager.
Definitely, I fully agree with that. I think you watch him and you see, like, obviously there was that video that went around online of him like motivating the team as they were playing and that. He would be a brilliant manager.
I was thinking about it the other day, that the way that Jordan Henderson went up to Kelleher at the end, like the way that Klopp did, as soon as the manager fist bump, he ran straight over, giving him a massive hug.
Mm.
He's 3.8, so he could play as a really good budget option.
Well, Alisson's out for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and so it's either going to be Adrian or Kelleher, and
I think it's going to be. I was going to say I think it's going to be Kelleher for the fact that Adrian's made a lot of mistakes.
yeah, I would play him. But then again, you might want to play Adrian next week in a game that doesn't matter.
True.
And keep your goalkeeper fit for the Prem.
True.
Overall, Liverpool, they are in no risk of finishing second. That this is a dead game for them. So Mane, Salah, I cannot see them playing, but I've been wrong before. The other game in this group, Atalanta, Midtjylland. My goodness. Talking about a team that throws away their chances. Atalanta.
Insane.
Like, how much motivation do you need? Is it just do you think that because you play in the Italian league that you're better than this team? Like, you are on your day, but you can't finish your chances. You just take it easy.
They had a strong lineup out as well. That's the thing. It wasn't like they had rotation problems.
Like they beat Midtjylland 4-0 last time. Like, so I'm not saying that they didn't take their chances both times against Midtjylland, but against Ajax,
yeah,
that game was 2-2. They had a great opportunity, getting absolutely smashed by Liverpool. They're not doing well in the league. They're very inconsistent all around this year. They are in second right now, and it's Ajax versus Atalanta next game week, and it's in Netherlands.
Oh.
And to be honest, well, Atalanta, they won at Anfield. True. And they won in Midtjylland, so they're one of them teams that are better away. But I cannot call this match at all. I don't know about you.
I would say Ajax will win it. Like the next game, I definitely think Ajax will win it. But I just think, like you said, Atalanta just didn't look hungry. They didn't look like, we could, potentially be qualified by the tonight. We could be in a very good position. Instead, they were in the worst position possible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way it took until the 80th minute, 79th, 80th minute for them to score. And I mean, their chances, they had chances, like you said. They had 8 shots on target, and just a poor game for them, really.
The only positive, I think, is that Atalanta and Ajax are going to play their full strength team next week. Like, that's the only positive that came out of that game, in my opinion, is that Hatterbo and like Gosens and stuff like that are all really good picks for next week.
Probably is a choice as well, maybe, because he came on at half time.
Romero finishing with 12 points this game week. He's one of the best budget defenders this season. He's missed a game, and he is overall, out of all of the players in the Champions League game, he is tied with Rashford for the most points.
Wow, really?
So yeah, so him and Rashford are on 40 points, and for a 4.5 defender at the start of the season, and he's missed a game, which is crazy. So his average amount of points is 10 points a game. So you would take that from a 6 million defender.
Oh yeah, before a 4.5, that's brilliant.
So like, he got 16 ball recoveries, he scored a goal, and he got 12 points even while getting a yellow card. So obviously he's not 4.5 anymore. He's 4.9, and rightly so. He should be skyrocketing in price.
Yeah.
So if you want to avoid taken up because obviously after game week 6 we have limitless transfers again. And if you want to avoid having to buy him in at maybe 5.1, 5.2, he could be a transfer for this week and still provide value for game week 6. Selected by 8% of teams. Yeah, them 8% of quarter gem there. Yeah.
That 8% has really risen.
Yeah, it's going to keep rising as well.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get him in. And so he is a player that I think he should definitely be one of your transfers for this game week, even if you weren't planning on making a defensive transfer. One, because it's going to be, if Atalanta do qualify, you don't have to buy him back in. If they don't qualify, he's going to rise in price. So you've got more budget, and he's going to play in game week 6, barring he doesn't get injured this game week.
True.
So I think it's a no-brainer to get Romero in. And as long as he doesn't get injured, I need to just wait. Don't make an immediate transfer.
Check the Atlanta team on the weekend and see if he plays. Because Atlanta, I've noticed a couple of times when we've had a big game coming, he's rotated in the league.
But that's Gasperini, though. That's the manager. Yeah. That's not Romero's fault. And so I think Atalanta will win. I'm going to stay confident. I'm in their fan league.
You'll get kicked out if you say anything else.
Yeah. I keep getting messages.
And they're all in Italian.
Moving on to a game that was quite important on who finishes top in their group. Dortmund versus Lazio finished 1-1. What's your opinion on this game?
The referee in VAR had an absolute nightmare. That's the best way of putting it. That was not a pen in a million days. He swan dives before he's even anywhere near him.
Yeah, I agree. Immobile, we did say he would score and that he should be the only player that you should look to get in from this game. I didn't expect Dortmund to rotate as much. So annoying. I'm happy that the majority of the game was in the same boat because Meunier was one of the biggest transfers in this game week.
I nearly transferred him in as well, that's the thing.
And so it was a good thing that you didn't.
Yeah.
But and with Haaland as well, like so many other people captained him, and I didn't fall that far behind as a result.
Yeah.
So I'm quite happy about that.
I think Dortmund, even with the rotated team, they were playing some brilliant football. I mean, Jude Bellingham, for the age of him, he looks a brilliant player in that midfield. Yeah, he really does. And I just think Dortmund are just going to keep churning out these young players. That's just their model. I mean, Gio Reyna as well. I'll give him a mention. From what I've seen on the game, he was brilliant.
Mm-hmm. I was debating between him and Cuadrado. I ended up bringing in Cuadrado. So annoying. But Cuadrado ended up getting a price rise as soon as I brought him in. So I've got more budget. Because my two transfers, I didn't mention them before, brought in Cuadrado and Vent from. And so both of them rose in price. So I ended up making 0.4 million from both of them. So I'll take that. When it comes to, mind you, I don't know if when you get unlimited transfers again, I don't know if it gets capped at 105 million or whether 5 million just gets added to your budget. But that's going to be really annoying if I've lost all that money that I've just been acquiring, because I can hopefully get a really good team going into the knockouts.
Get a decent side going into the knockouts.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has the advantage of limitless, but quite nice. I mean, this group, it's still not over.
No.
But I think the way that it is now is the way it's going to finish.
Yeah, I'd definitely say Dortmund top, Lazio second, Bruges going into the Europa League.
Yeah, I mean, Bruges and Lazio, do they face each other next? Yeah, they do. So It's going to be Bruges versus Lazio, which is a huge game because the winner of that will take second place.
It's the early kickoff as well that week. Them two games are the early kickoff.
So there's another game that we should try and target because they're probably going to play a full-strength team.
Yeah, that's where players like De Ketelaere come in at cheap options, and then you've got, like you said, Immobile.
Yeah, and Immobile would be a good player to get if you're looking to get like to transfer out Haaland
Mm.
because Immobile is 10.5, maybe 10.6. Yeah, you'll save your money for your next transfer as well. Obviously, you've got the Atlanta forwards as well, but Immobile has been very consistent so far. And so I don't think you should look past him, to be fair, because he's missed 2 game weeks and he has 29 points and he is the 6th highest goal scoring striker in the game. And he's missed 2 game weeks.
Mental.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's a player that you should look to get in for next week as well, especially because Haaland's not going to play. And Haaland he's risen in price to 11.1, but I don't think that because he's injured, I think that'll go back down to 11 for when the unlimited transfers. So I don't think you're going to lose out on Haaland.
Yeah.
Plus, my biggest question is why Dortmund rotated so much, because like if this hadn't have been a draw, like Lazio, say in theory that Lazio won, then Lazio would be top.
Yeah.
Dortmund would be second, and Bruges having a win could be a Lazio Bruges top 2. But I mean, Dortmund are they're confident that they got the result and they've got Zenit in the next game, and so that's pretty much sorted. Even if Lazio and Bruges draw, Dortmund will go through, and even if one of the team wins, Dortmund are through.
That Dortmund game's away at Zenit as well.
Yeah, it's just whether they'll finish top or not. Barrios could be a good one for that, but
for the ball recoveries.
Yeah, exactly. So that group it's not as exciting as the others, but it's still got a little bit to play for.
Yep.
Okay, we're just going to go through these next few games quick fire. Chelsea versus Sevilla. Giroud scoring 4 goals.
I love that man.
He's a genius.
How many weeks has he not played for?
I don't even know.
Like, he hasn't played, and then he's just gets on and scores 4. Like, fair dues to you.
I know. And Sevilla kind of starting to flake out now, but that's the top 2. That's the way it's going to be, and Giroud could be a good option going into game week 6.
So going off his Sevilla performance, is going to have a goal fest.
Yeah, and that's the thing with these teams that have already qualified, is that there's going to be some real good budget options that you could try and fit into your team that could be playing, like Curtis Jones, for example, Giroud. Yeah, you're going to get some good budget options. We're going to try and identify them in the next preview show, but I think it's going to be quite interesting to see which budget options pay off.
Yeah, I'm just looking at like who Chelsea like started with and that, and I mean, you've got Hudson-Odoi playing, Emerson played. I think that might be because Chilwell's injured. I don't know.
No, I think he's just rested.
Yeah, but even still, like there's a clean sheet bonus of a left back, and I'm sure he got an assist for one of the goals as well.
Yeah, and so all these players are really, really good options for not having to take away one of your premium options.
Yeah.
The other game in the group, Krasnodar 1, Rennes 0. It's going to be nice to have Krasnodar in the Europa League after their really long qualification process. I think that's going to be really nice.
They're a Europa League team, in my opinion. I mean, Rennes done well to get the Champions League out of the French League and that. But Krasnodar, for me, just screams Europa League.
Yeah, and like they got rid of their best players. And so, yeah, I couldn't see them. Yeah, didn't see them going through, to be honest. Again, wrapping up, Barcelona winning 3-0 to Ferencváros.
Here's another one that could you could whack in though. You've got Braithwaite.
Yeah, Barcelona are going to be very annoying. And for those who have got Braithwaite back-to-back game weeks,
wow,
fair play to you. To be fair, Griezmann as well. He seems to be doing well against these weaker teams. But it's Barcelona versus Juventus in this game week. A lot of people are hoping that Ronaldo versus Messi happens.
I doubt it's going to.
But I don't think it will either.
I doubt it's going to. I think Pjanic will play in the midfield, definitely, because obviously he started the game. Well, he played the whole game against Ferencváros. But Messi wasn't even in the travelling squad, and I think it's going to be exactly the same for the next game week.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen. I just think Koeman will rest Messi.
Yeah.
Just to Ronaldo will play, I think. And because Ronaldo gets to now choose which games he plays in. But we'll see how that goes, because obviously Morata got red carded in the league. So Ronaldo and Dybala will probably start in the league for them. And so I really hope that Messi versus Ronaldo happens. I hope they make a good game of it, but they don't have to. And I think that's the real big risk of it not happening, which is unfortunate.
Do you reckon Chiesa could be a good shout as well? Because he grabbed a goal again, and he seems to always be like causing a bit of trouble when he's playing.
Chiesa, like, he plays wing back.
Aye.
So, like, he's a midfielder in the game, and he's playing in a defensive position. Like, it's kind of the same thing as Cuadrado.
Yeah.
Except from Cuadrado's 0.5 cheaper than Chiesa.
Okay.
So, I would personally I would have put Cuadrado above him, but I don't know what team he's going to play. I think we need to look at the starting 11 on the weekend.
Yeah, I think it's looking at the starting 11, and then obviously when the reports start coming out, who's travelled with the squad.
And then obviously Juventus got a really good result. Ronaldo scored his 750th career goal.
It's just insane, though.
Did you know? I saw this the other day.
Right.
That you would have to score 50 goals a season for 15 seasons to match Ronaldo's goal tally.
That's incredible.
Like, he's an absolute monster.
Yes.
And then it's funny when I read that stat, though, because obviously with Pele's claiming that he scored 1,000 goals in his career, but he counts friendlies and stuff.
Aye.
That this stat for Ronaldo, it's 750 official career goals.
Like competitive games.
Yeah, they have to put the word official. I think international friendlies count for Ronaldo's tally.
Okay.
But not club friendlies, though.
not pre-season tournaments.
No. I think that Barcelona will finish top, Juventus will finish second. I don't think that anything will happen there.
No, same.
And then, but Dynamo Kiev, Ferencváros, they drew in the last game. The winner of that takes the Europa League. I hope Ferencváros do it.
They did against Juve. They'll definitely make it.
Yeah, I hope so. And then, last but not least, Porto Man City finishing 0-0. I did say last week that the Porto goalkeeper and Porto defence, I think I said it 2 weeks ago actually, they are good picks, and that this game would probably be the only exception, but they still ended up getting a clean sheet. So overall, good picks. I think they'll get rested, but we'll see what happens. Maybe they try and make a jump for first place. With Man City going to be guaranteed to play a weakened team. It's against Olympiacos as well, so I don't think Porto will take it lightly because they just want to keep their form going. But 0-0, I think that's a fair result. I didn't see much of the game to be honest, but did you?
No, I didn't see much of the game, but when I seen the highlights, I just thought it was basically Man City had a lot of it, basically as you would think, but they just couldn't finish.
Yeah, exactly.
I put Ferran Torres in my team, thinking, you know what, he's been on goal scoring form in the Champions League. I regret it straight away.
I think he'll still play game week 6, so I wouldn't transfer him out.
I think I'll keep him in for game week 6 because obviously they got Marseille, haven't they?
Yeah. And I think an interesting one is Raheem Sterling because I don't know what's up with him. Obviously, he's not been on form, but he didn't play last week in the Prem. He played in this Champions League, so whether he gets rested again in the Premier League against Fulham, I think he could be a good premium option because it's at home.
He probably could get rested because obviously if you go off the form of the previous game for them, Sterling wasn't in that team, and maybe it could be that Sterling plays in the Champions League again.
Yeah, so he's an interesting option, but they've got Man United the week after Marseille.
True.
So it is guaranteed that Man City will play a weakened team next week. It's just interesting to know who is a weakened team for Man City.
I think Ferran Torres, Bernardo Silva, Foden, Zinchenko, Garcia, and Cancelo are probably all the kind of players that you look at and think, yep, they'll definitely be in the team.
Yeah, Cancelo's a risk for me because I've obviously got him in the FPL. So he seems to be the right back of choice when all 4 fullbacks are fit. But that's the thing with Cancelo, you can do either side. So it's
that bench did have De Bruyne, Laporte, Mendy, Mahrez, Gundogan.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus scored, but it was disallowed.
Yeah, I think Jesus is a good pick. I mean, he came off the bench, but I think what's crazy about the game is that Man City only made one sub.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And yeah, we'll see how it goes next week. For them, we'll see how they line up against Fulham. Who knows? Maybe a few players get rested if they absolutely batter them, but we'll see what happens. And then the last game of the day, Marseille winning 2-1, 2 Dimitri Payet penalties. Dan did say last week that Payet and Thauvin were the players to get in, especially for this game week. Thauvin ended up winning a penalty. Payet ended up scoring 2. So, I mean, that last penalty was close. It was close to getting saved.
Yeah. Would have been great if he had saved it, because that was my goalkeeper.
But the quality of Marseille, the quality of Payet from a set piece situation. I mean, he missed a penalty earlier in the tournament.
Yeah.
So I don't know if many people had him in. No, 0%. So I think he'll play next week and have the opportunity to. Obviously, he's the penalty taker, so he's a player that you could look to get in.
Well, they'll be looking to get into Europa League because Marseille and Olympiacos are both on the same amount of points. They're both on 3 points. So it's a battle for the Europa League out of them. It's a shame they both got hard games.
I think they'll both lose, and it's just whoever loses the least.
Again, though, like we've said before, again with Olympiacos, again away from home, losing.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to kind of shout out about this group, though. No. I think this is the way it's going to finish, and I think each of these teams will use it as a rest. But yeah, this was a very 2020 game week. Lots of rotation, lots of low scores all around. Well played to those who, I would say, if you got over 50 points this game week, you had a really, really good game week.
Yeah, so well done, Cameron.
Yeah, like it's the equivalent of getting like a 80 or 90 points on a normal game week.
True.
And what's crazy is that you do get people, like if you look at like the total like leaderboard, there were people who got like 90 points this game week. And I'm just like, what? How?
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah, it's just absolute madness. Sorry, I forgot to give a shout out to the person who's top of our league. I mean, well done to, I'm probably going to end up mispronouncing the name. AC Hamad finished with 64 points. Very close near the top. He's on 384. You've got last week's top place, CR8. Is the team name 378. Then you've got Hora Unicorns 376, Caldavila FC 370 for Werner Chicken Dinner. I love these team names.
Yeah.
But it's like so close. Like on any game week, you can completely pass each other. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I think I'm starting to go away from the top spots, but hopefully I can finish in the top 1%.
I'm down to 36, so it's depressing.
Yeah, it is. So sorry I didn't do that shout out earlier in the show, but thanks for coming on, Nathan.
No problem.
And we'll catch you next time for the preview show. So stay tuned for that on either Monday or Tuesday. We'll keep you updated on Twitter at UCL Fantasy Pod. We'll see you then. Take care.